We revealed last week the amazing fact. I could not believe this when I first saw this, that although TruthSocial, the new craze when it comes to social media, had been around for about 2 weeks, Donald Trump, the guy who started it, the guy who drew in all these members, hadn't used it. He had not posted a truth, to be fair. Well, now he's apparently very mad. Not mad enough to actually use the service, not mad enough to give his audience that which they crave, his thoughts and opining. But he's apparently very mad about the launch. In recent weeks, sources have told the Daily Beast that the former president can be heard on the phone swearing gratuitously and asking things like, "What the F is going on with TruthSocial?" He's repeatedly mad about the negative press, which we are a part of, thankfully, and the less than stellar topics of the rollout. He's demanded to know why more people aren't using it, why the app isn't swiftly dominating the competition. And it is complicated. I mean, if you look at, to jump ahead, SimilarWeb says there was a spike of about 2 million daily visits to the site when it first debuted, which is impressive. That then quickly dropped down to 300,000. It's on par with Getter, but Gab, there's so many of these right-wing things, has about 650,000 daily visits, so it's not even as popular as Gab. In fact, it's the 72nd most popular app that for free on Apple's App Store right now, way behind things like Twitter and Facebook. But the most fascinating thing, Jordan, is he's raging about the fact that this doesn't seem to be going well, that people are predicting that it's gonna fail, but he isn't actually using it, which seems like the best thing to draw MAGA people into the service. This doesn't make any sense to me.
I think its stumble out of the gate reveals like this was ultimately just a big bluff that they decided to go ahead with anyway. And they used this for years to game the refs and get preferential treatment. And a study from Twitter itself, they conducted and looked at how political content performed in its algorithm and admitted right-wing content performs better than left-wing content. And this is a byproduct of the Republicans complaining for years about censorship and shadow bans and being deplatformed and all these different types of things that the tech companies were like, "Oh, okay, well, we're sorry, sir," and they gave them preferential treatment. And then one of the ways they did that though was like, we're just gonna start our own and we're gonna leave. We're all gonna leave, and they don't want to see a drop in daily active users because that would hurt their market prospects, perspectives from a perspective analysts and investors. They didn't want to deal with that. But then the right just did it anyway, and turns out, wow, running a social media platform is much harder than they thought. And ultimately, I think it says a lot about human behavior because so much of what they enjoy about being on Twitter and Facebook is arguing and triggering the libs and just getting in people's face about their reprehensible views. And you don't have that there. It's just an echo chamber where everyone just agrees. That's not fun. That's not fun for those people. So that's why it's just like sputtering.
Yeah, they do need things like that for organizing convoys or sharing anti-Semitic memes or fantasizing about sexual assault of members of Congress. But it isn't a place to just go to have fun and debate and all that. Like even if Trump was tweeting, and by the way, not to give a tip to my enemy, but use your service, you doink. Like honestly, I do not know why that needs to be explained. How frustrated would you be if you were like Devin Nunes, one of the heads of this organization, and the dude won't even load up the app? But anyway, yeah, you gotta use it. That should be fairly obvious. But let's say that he does. He's not gonna be responding to people. Like there's not gonna even be like libs like responding to him that then the MAGA can respond to. You're right. It's just, it would be an echo chamber, and there's already tons of right-wing echo chamber apps. Those already exist. You can go on Getter and you can go on all this stuff. Anyway, by the way, I want to say that I do appreciate that subtle Mark Zuckerberg there for a little bit. Anyway, any other thoughts about TruthSocial? You think it's gonna last, or is this thing eventually just gonna be pulled quietly?
It'll probably fizzle out. I think a lot of these things just eventually just fizzle out. Like who's gonna want to keep funding this if the users aren't there, if there's no revenue? Because that's ultimately what it's about.
Yeah, that's
making money. And if there's no users, why would advertisers go there? Well, also, why would advertisers go there to begin with? Because it's going to explicitly align them with a partisan ideology, and like they like to play both sides. So I don't know how much revenue there's going to be in this in the long run. It just seems like a doomed effort from the start.
Yeah, I think you're on something there. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.